Cavalier Family show. And on this show, we will be discussing the year of 1974. I know I have a new look, but a little more disclosure later on. As some of you know, we are an independent studio, and on the show, we will be discussing life entertainment from the big screen to the small screen, as well as the top 5 movies, TV shows, cartoons of the year that we actually discuss. And every show as well in the year is actually requested. So if you have a moment, leave a comment below. Let us know what you would like or what year that you want to go ahead and see us categorize and go over in depth and share some memories. No updates as of right now. The biggest thing, of course, is the store that you will find on the link in the description below. Basically, every show that we do have a little tag on the show to be a little remembrance of the year that we do. So go ahead and check out the link below, because all purchases and all main profits are basically to help run this show. If you like this show and you want to see the show continue, then go ahead, not only hit that subscribe button, but also check out the store, make some purchases. Because as of right now, if you do Holiday Cav, that's HOLIDAY you will actually get a 15% off on your entire purchase. In addition to that, I'm going to take this off because it is very claustrophobic. I'm going to set that to the side. We'll put these bad boys on, and actually going to continue, because in the store you will see some coffee mugs, sweaters, t-shirts, even stickers. So even a $5-7 sticker will actually help out greatly. And of course, the little proceeds go to the independent filming, go to the stories that we'd like to create for you and be able to show you on here, as well as help pay monthly for the, of course, subscriptions and podcasts and stuff like that, which, by the way, we are live now on Stitcher, Google, Apple Podcasts, all those. Just go ahead and give it a look for Cavalier Family. As you may know, we like to thank, of course, Justin Dye and Kevin Holmes. Kevin Holmes did a lot of the intro and outro. Justin Dye has done the mini musical elements, and our researcher, Stephen Dawson, has done, of course, the research on this. And as you can see, we have a non-familiar face on this show. This is actually our researcher, Mr. Stephen Dawson. And Stephen, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
A little warm now.
Yeah.
I wore that specifically because I saw the new Spider-Man movie, and let me tell you,
Okay.
I was super hyped. And have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, and I want to see it because they got the 3 of them in there, and I want to see it, but I feel like I got to see the previous ones. I haven't seen them since the old Tobey Maguires.
Yes, you need
I
to
got some
see.
catching up to do.
Now, I'm not confirming or denying because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I mean, don't get your hopes up, unfortunately, but you should really watch the Tobey Maguire, the Andrew Garfield movies, more so because of the villains than anything else. Again, don't want to get your hopes up on anything, but it was a great movie. Probably one of the 3 of Tom Holland is my favorite. So is this movie. But yeah, that's a little snippet on the Spider-Man Far From Home. Of course, we could talk about that at a later time once you actually see it. And if we get a bigger enough cast on here, then we can all talk about it as well. But of course, not a lot of people know you or of you. So go ahead, give a little introduction. Tell us who you are, what you've been doing as far as the research goes. Just go ahead and give them a little 411.
So yeah, I was watching Facebook and I kept on seeing these pop up, the Cavalier show. So I was like, I hit you up. Hey, what's all this about? Let me take a look at this. And, you talked to me a little bit about it. I was like, hey, I'd like to join this, see what, I enjoy that kind of thing. I enjoy talking with people and batting some stuff around. And you're like, hey, what about some research? Want to do so? So I got, it's kind of enjoyable to sit here and be able to look up these years and find out stuff that I would have known, or, I have that one song or that one movie from years past, but I know nothing else about that time frame. So looking up some of this stuff, or, some of these years, like what my parents would have played with and whatnot, like that's enjoyable. So yeah, that's why I'm here. It's been been a couple weeks, but I'm enjoying it.
Good.
Absolutely.
It's good to hear it. Like, what have you found the most difficult or the easiest thing to do?
These damn toys. So nobody wants to rank toys, and that's definitely the biggest pain in the butt is finding any sort of ranking on toys. And I don't want to give you uh 20 sources to list off, but a lot of times is what I'm actually doing is I'm actually comparing Toys R Us catalog versus this catalog versus this other website, and okay, I see this on every single one of them, but this one is mentioned only on one. So I kind of try to compile a volume of what I'm seeing repetitiously. So
Yeah, and see that's one of the reasons why you're so enthused and wanting to, of course, be part of this, and we're really intrigued on this. And to be honest, this is like on top of running a business, on top of writing screenplays. Like right now, I'm still writing the horror screenplay. Still working on getting the filming for the second part of the second trailer for the Dear Me, which
mhm.
will of course go on crowdfunding on GoFundMe. Because again, that's the other thing. Part of the merchandise that we're selling is it's not just going to the podcasting; it's also going to wanting to film the independent movie and stuff, which theoretically we would need about 75,000. So with that, like everybody who's part of the group will eventually be part of the independent filming. Like when you're doing research now, of course later down the road can always help with other stuff like
Mhm.
scouting locations and doing other stuff, reaching out to people. So
Yeah.
it's never going to be a dull moment and always hoping to be fun. So when you actually sparked interest in this, like it didn't click at first because what we were going for, as far as what you were doing, it there was something there, but I was like, I really want this guy, I really need this guy. And then I was like, you know what, I have so much stuff to do, like on top of doing the
Yes.
screenplays, on top of doing the scouting for the locations to film, on top of, getting everybody on the same schedule as far as our camera crew, as far as the actors and actresses, because, they have their own jobs, everybody has their own life. It gets hectic. And this actually takes a huge load off of what I have to do because everything as far as the back in time, as
Mhm.
well as well, not really sell me the movie, but back in time, cutscene and stuff. Like I do that as well. Um, that's why I was so thankful to have Christy, who will be on the show, of course, later on during the episodes, um, the cartoonist to come into play because you guys help so drastically. And the one thing that I've learned is the same thing with what you've actually noticed is the toys are a pain because no matter what you do, especially you haven't experienced it yet, but like the 80s and the 90s or the
Mhm.
2000s or the 70s, like when you just have the 1970, 1990, 1980, that is a hellhole to go down because no matter
Yeah.
what you look for, it will always be top 5 toys of the 80s, top 10
Yeah.
toys in the 90s.
Getting all
So
the decades.
exactly, you're getting all the decades and not just the year based. So that is what also takes up a lot of time as well. But of course, this is something that extremely needed help on, and I can't thank you enough for helping me on this, as well as the whole crew as well. And of course, you know, you put down a lot of the resources as well. And that's the other thing too is like a lot of these, there's not a lot of information on the older years too,
Mhm.
and that's the hardest thing. Like top TV shows, okay, we'd like to have a reliable resource, though it may be Wikipedia and people change things on Wikipedia, but that's sometimes the only source that we can go off of
Right.
because no, like I'm pretty sure you don't want to go to page 8 on Google because nobody
Yeah.
goes to page 8 on Google. It's just a never ending rabbit hole.
Mhm. Get
And
lost down there, man.
exactly. So with that, again, can't thank you enough for actually jumping on and patience and everything like that and that nature.
It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed like I've literally enjoyed doing these whenever I come home early, late night, whatever you want to call it. do that, and I mean, I enjoy it getting on there and you know, the music, the movies and whatnot. I remember one time I was like, I can't believe how many good movies came out this year. How do you pick? You know, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is like what a lot of people don't understand is like everybody who's part of this group is I want to make sure that you have fun with it.
Hmm.
And the one thing I've told everybody is once you don't have fun, let me know and I'll try and find some way to make it fun for you. Because
Yeah.
again, everybody has daily lives. I mean, we met a little backstory on our relationship is the fact that we met while working at Dunkin' through some great mutual friends. And don't want to give out their names because, you know, privacy, but, you know, wish them the best, love them as they're up there in the Boston area. Um, but we met while working, of course, at Dunkin', and then you
Hmm.
know, one thing will lead to another, and there's just a lot of similarities as well as far as humor, as far as music goes. So you know, when you work with the team, when you work with people that you know of in the past, a lot of people will say, you know, don't work with your friends, or you know, don't work with family, or but sometimes those are the best people to work with because
Yeah.
like it's different than working with a stranger because like if you work with a stranger you don't have that relationship, though some of us did start off as like a post on Facebook and they were sparked interest and that relationship has built. But at the same time though is like, you know, I know how I can make this a little bit more fun for you, you know, a little bit of the quirks to make it a little bit of funny, or you know, you find something that's interesting. um and I mean, this is the first time I'm bringing it up to you, but you never know. There may be a little ways down the road where Cavalier Family may just be you and Lee live
Hmm.
streaming on Twitch because you guys are gamers. So people may be able to follow not me, even though I'm ahead of this, but they will have the opportunity to have you and Lee twitching
Yeah.
together, being streaming online, be able to talk to one another online. Like I just want this thing to grow and people to have fun with.
Hmm.
So that's, you know, that's a great deal and that's an imagination. Um, so that can only grow not only with the people who everybody works with and loves and enjoys, but also begins with the people and the support from everybody by going to the store and purchasing the shirts, by you know hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, or following us on Twitter, Facebook, and all those people, because you know social media, it's grown a lot since the marketing, and that's really all it is and where it's found.
Hmm. Yep.
So with that, and actually speaking of video games, you know, when we get Lee on this, he will talk to you about specifically about video games in which you play. I guess there's this game out there that kind of shrinks you down as an ant. I don't know.
Um, I know what you're talking about. I played it actually.
And see, he's been looking for people to play that with.
Yeah. Okay. I
So
might have
there you
to
go.
touch back up on it again. I can't remember what it's called, but I know the one. Yeah, played a little bit with the kids, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the things that we can lead off on as well.
Yep.
So with that, of course, it's we'd like to welcome you, Stephen. Welcome you to the gang officially, to the group. Not really groupies, but the group, and filled with fun people and loving and enjoying. And just to let everybody know who is listening, later down the line, the show will change only a little bit. We know that we want to give you the best information possible. And I do know that cramming everything in that we have within an hour sometimes may not be as educational as you would hope. So there will be some minor changes down the road, just so then that way we can create the content for you to enjoy, be a little bit more educational, but also to the ability where you know you don't have to focus on an hour out of your day to actually watch it. To maybe a little shorter than that, so then that way you can have time to actually watch it, get a little bit of knowledge, have a little fun with us as well. Um, and with that in mind, of course, we would go into the next segment, but just wanted to make sure. Steven, have you seen any other recent movies?
No,
Okay.
I haven't. I've been so you know, I texted you a little bit ago, but where this is peak season where I work, so no, there's not a lot of downtime right now.
And that's perfectly
go,
fine.
go.
Of course, we talked about video games. We talked about your research and stuff, and just to let everybody know, Steven provides the years. Okay, so unless if it's actually requested, then he just throws in a year at us. We don't request anything because it's always something fun, something new for us as well. And with that in mind, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go back in time, Martin McFly style. Ready, Doc Brown?
Let's do it.
With that in mind, we are in 1974 now. We're going to be talking about the top 5 TV shows, cartoons, music, toys, movies, everything entertainment, as well as nostalgia base. And of course, with that in mind, what we'll do is let our guest lead off first. Mr. Dawson, go ahead and provide the top 5 TV shows, my good friend.
Top 5 TV shows. I'm gonna start off with All in the Family. Number 1, Sanford and Son. Have you seen either one of these?
I've seen a little bit of Sanford and Son. I have seen a little bit of that. I vaguely remember All in the Family. I don't really remember the entirety of it, but Sanford and Son, yes, I've seen a few episodes.
I've heard of them, never watched them, never seen a clip, never seen.
Really?
Yep, never seen them.
Wow. Okay. See, Sanford and Son was extremely popular back in the day too.
Yeah, and if I'm not this was a not a Nick at Night, but it came on later on those like cartoon channels, right? Or
No, I believe it did come on at Nick at Night at some point.
Nick at Night. Okay. See, I know I've seen it like as an option. I just never clicked over to it.
That's fair.
I don't know if you ever seen it. I've so number 3, Chico and the Man, never heard of. That's the reason why I asked about the other 2. I've heard of all 5 of these except for Chico and the Man.
See, I've never heard of Chico and the Man.
Number 3 in 1974. Okay. All right. So number 4, we have the Jeffersons, which definitely heard of. Didn't something spin off of the Jeffersons, or am I missing something here? Or was that a spin-off?
That's a
Let me do some research.
Question.
Hold on.
That's honestly a valid question. Only because of the fact that I don't think I've heard of that. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't count that out, just only because if you look at Frasier, Frasier was of course a spin-off of Cheers, and I didn't know that. That was a little education that TJ provided during the show, one of the shows. And I had no idea that Frasier was actually a spin-off of Cheers back in the day. So that was interesting.
Frasier's fantastic.
See, Cheers. See, I've been to the place, but like as far as Frasier goes, I don't. It just didn't pique my interest. Basically, it really didn't. I do vaguely remember the Jeffersons a little bit, but of course that was back in the day where was it Leave It to Beaver was during that time period too, wasn't it?
I believe you're right. I believe that would have been 70s.
Yeah, and I know the Dick Van Dyke Show. I've seen a couple episodes there too.
Yeah, I don't know these 70s shows. Now the one that I did used to watch seldomly, middle school, staying up late, turning on the TV, lowering the brightness, was MASH. That's number 5.
Okay.
I did watch a little bit of MASH. I thought it was funny. I don't really remember too much now, but I remember thinking like, this is funny, or I don't get these jokes, and the laugh track's going on. But it was something, and it was at least enjoyable.
Yeah,
brightness on 0.
So it's funny that you brought up the whole Nick at Night thing, because from my understanding, previous episodes, Justin has informed me that now on Nick at Night are shows that we used to watch when we were younger. You ready for one of them?
All right, let me hear it.
Fresh Prince.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up with that. Yep.
Apparently, Fresh Prince is on Nick at Night now, and a few other shows too.
Right after the Munsters.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. They're
Right.
insulting.
But just wait until I'm pretty sure some of the music that we listen to too is on the oldie station.
No, is it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Man, we're getting up there, man.
I wouldn't be surprised. In all honesty, what's really gonna hurt is when Mr. Spider-Man, Tom Holland, shows up on what is it? TMC? Turner Classic Movies, TCM.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when it's gonna really hurt, is when you see those movies on TCM.
Yep.
Then you realize, like, wow, I thought I was old now, but now I'm TCM old.
Yeah.
And
sandwich between Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind.
And where's that list from, my friend?
That our source for that is Wikipedia. I didn't specify the actual internal sources of that, but I got that from Wikipedia.
Okay, perfect. And then with that, we'll jump into the top 5 cartoons. Again, the source was Wikipedia. Number 1 is Hong Kong Phooey. I used to watch that show a lot on Boomerang and everything. It was a great show. I take it you watched it as well?
Yes, and I would have never thought that it was from the early 70s, mid 70s. I would have never thought that. Like, it looked older, but I didn't. Yeah. I wouldn't have placed it there. I would have 80s.
Like 80s?
Yeah, I mean, it just looked a little fresher to me than that.
The one that I would place more in, I guess it was kind of 80s, or was it 90s? Johnny Quest. Because that was Hanna-Barbera too.
Yep. I think
that was more later 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know Magilla Gorilla, I think, was in the 60s. But yeah, like Hong Kong Phooey. I mean, I used to watch it when I was younger. It was funny. I mean, there's bits and pieces of it that was funny. And it's interesting because you had Disney, then you had Warner Brothers. And then Hanna-Barbera was right up there too. I feel Hanna-Barbera though was older because they had the Flintstones.
Yeah, the Jetsons. Didn't they have the Jetsons? Was that them?
Yep, Hanna-Barbera was the Jetsons as well.
Yogi Bear,
Yogi Bear, Jabberjaw. Because from what I can remember is that my mom actually watched some of these cartoons when she was younger too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's mind-blowing how great, well, I mean, let's face it, some of the episodes, they age well, some of the episodes don't age well, like the Tom and Jerry episode that everyone has been talking a lot about. And if you don't know that episode, it's the episode where Tom goes to heaven, and God says, you have this amount of time to apologize to Jerry, otherwise you go to hell. And during that time period, a wet bag shows up in heaven, and it's 3 tiny kittens that comes out of that bag.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it is an actual episode, and you want to catch that as a kid, because going back to conversations that we've had here with TJ and Justin, I think Justin is the one that brought it, or was it TJ? It was one of the two. I know one of the guys brought it up, but it just caught me off guard. It's something that you want to catch being younger, but like nowadays you catch as an adult, like, wait a second, oof, that didn't age well. Okay. I didn't know that they did this. But number 2 was the New Adventures of Gilligan. All I knew is that they did Gilligan's Isle. Is that the same one?
Yeah, the same thing. So they wanted to do another season. However, it was like budget or something. They just decided to, I read a little bit about this, and of course now I can't remember much, but they decided to animate it.
Oh, so it was
instead.
Huh. Okay. So was this?
Or was it a spin-off? I think I can't remember it.
So was it pre-Island or after Island?
I believe it was after.
Okay, so after they actually got off the island itself.
I believe so.
Okay.
I remember reading briefly about it and then going on because I was like, I don't know what this is.
I mean, it makes sense. Number 3 was U.S. of Archie. I've never heard of it.
So that is based off of the Archie comics. And if I remember correctly, I briefly looked up. I believe it was a sorry, my keyboard might be loud. I believe it was Archie morning show, blah 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 blah. So yeah, it was a spinoff of the comic book and the show, but I believe he was in the military.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. Archie and the other Riverdale students regularly enacting famous scenes from throughout American history, taking full advantage of the bicentennial in the months leading to it. Okay, so they were going through American history. That's what it was.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Did Jughead? Well, maybe I did. Maybe I've seen some episode, a few cartoon strips, because I remember at one point, I thought I saw Jughead in a military outfit with his little crown. I thought, but I could be thinking of something else too.
Yeah, they redid some of it, it looks like, but yeah, it's a spinoff. Featured Archie, Jughead, and others of the Riverdale High. I actually have a ton of old Archie comics.
Okay, nice.
They're inherited, and I've never looked at them, but I got them.
Well, you could be landing on a gold mine there. You just never know what you actually have.
Yeah, not a clue. They're packaged up and just, one house or the other, put them in the storage room.
Do you remember any of the actual episodes that you have or the issues?
Not a clue. Not a clue. It's a big bin, very big bin. But
so, his last name is Andrews, right? Yeah, it's Andrews. So the first appearance of Archie Andrews, first appearance of Betty Cooper, first appearance of Jughead was in Pep Comics issue 22, and that is running for 200,000 at the high. Lowest,
I gotta go.
Is the lowest is 20,000. Let's see, and then trying to look for an actual Archie. Those funnies, and that's actually has that's Dick Tracy. So Meet the New Post Gazette, Sunday Funnies. It was a promotional giveaway intended to advertise the comic news strip featured in the Pittsburgh Post. Collection of the original comics included Dick Tracy, Superman, Archie, Buck Rogers, Brenda Starr, The Saint, Terry and the Pirates, Gasoline Alley. That's going for 1.8 thousand. I'm looking to see. So the first full appearance of Archie, though, was in Pep Comics number 36, and that's going for 15K. Let's see.
I'll have some other research to do.
The Life with Archie number 1 was the premiere issue of the new Archie title focused on a longer format. That's going for 825. Let's see. I'm trying to think. First appearance or first meeting of Cheryl Blossom and Archie was 150. That's Archie in the issue of Archie's Girls, Betty and Veronica. I'm trying to see the first appearance of Betty or Veronica. See if that is in here, but I don't think it actually is.
That's going to be one of our another show that we'll do. It'll be a side piece, and I just hold it up, and then you research and tell me about it. We're taking bids.
Let's see. Number 4 is Valley of the Dinosaurs, which I don't know anything of. Did you find anything while you're researching?
No, that's another one that I had never even heard of, actually. And I did look up the Jeffersons. The Jeffersons was the second spinoff of All in the Family. So like I
Oh,
said, I was
okay.
like, it's either a spinoff or something big spun off of it. But I knew it was a really big. And for a while there, I just read that it was one of the um, like highest rated sitcoms.
Okay,
Uh,
that's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of Valley of the Dinosaurs at all, so that's new. The other thing too is Partridge Family, 2280 or 2280.
okay, so if you want to kick about this, look that up. I should have sent you a picture. Look that up. And tell me
Okay.
what you think about it.
Well, as I'm looking it up, then I'll definitely tell the audience and everyone listening is go ahead and look it up too. It's Partridge Family 2200 AD.
And
So
especially if you're on Wikipedia, tell me what you think about that, about the title screen there.
it's the Jetsons.
It's the Jetsons, right? So they wanted so I was reading about it, and Hanna-Barbera wanted it to be a continuation of or a spin-off of it. And then the production company didn't want that, or somebody didn't want that, and the Partridge Family was still big or was big, and so is what they did is they merged the two together and came out with Partridge Family 2200 AD.
Huh.
Yeah, that was an odd
Interesting.
concept.
That is an odd concept, but I could see where like the premise and the first storylines of the Jetsons came into play. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I was sitting here and I was like, wait, hold on, no, that's the Jetsons. Obviously, they've done something wrong.
There's something wrong with my screen. I need to wipe it off. Like what's going on there?
Yeah, the moment I saw that, I was like, no, it's literally. I mean, you got the darn it, what's the dog's name? Yeah, I mean the whole flying saucer, the buildings, everything reminds me of the Jetsons.
Yeah, it really does. It just gives off that Jetson vibe. Now I'm kind of because was it Rosie was the robot,
Yes.
and then the dog in the Jetsons was Astro. That's it, right?
Yep. And my boy Elroy. Um, so so it says Hanna-Barbera originally proposed an updated version of the Jetsons. So this by the way is from Wikipedia. An updated version of the Jetsons in which Elroy would be a teenager and Judy would have a steady job as an ace reporter. But CBS discarded it and decided to make an animated version of the Partridge Family instead.
Interesting.
So full on, whoop, let's put these together.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, there you go. That's your top cartoons. That's a little bit of knowledge from our researcher Steven there, who did a little digging for you guys. So then that way you have a little bit more information. All right, so let's go into the music. Want to take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So top Billboard of 1974. I also got this from Wikipedia, which usually gets it directly from Billboard. Billboard.com, I believe it is. So we got number one, The Way We Were by Barbara Streisand. Seasons in the Sun. And I've only heard of one of these songs. Guess which one out of all five of these? Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks. Love's Theme, the Love Unlimited Orchestra. It's number three. Come and Get Your Love by Redbone. That's the one I've heard. And Dancing Machine by the Jackson 5.
Okay. Now,
I don't know that song, I don't really remember Dancing Machine.
I do remember Come and Get Your Love. Come and get your love.
Yes.
I can't really sing. So it's Come and Get Your Love. Yeah, I do know that one. Barbara Streisand, obviously, she is the stepmother to Thanos, Josh Brolin. I do know
Really?
that yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why in Deadpool 2, was it Deadpool? Yeah, it was Deadpool 2 where Ryan Reynolds, Wade goes, when they're watching the Barbara Streisand movie, I forgot what movie they were watching, but he goes, "Isn't it funny? This kind of sounds like Let It Go." But so he makes like a Frozen reference. But yeah, Barbara Streisand, and I'm going to confirm this before I get called out. Josh Brolin's, yeah. Look inside Barbara Streisand's relationship with her stepson Josh Brolin. Yep.
Okay.
So she is a stepmom of Thanos. So you could thank her for that, or Cable. I mean, Cable is a better mutant as far as between Cable and Thanos. So I mean, at least give a little leeway there. But I do remember her take in South Park too, the big old metal Barbara Streisand robot.
Streisbeck? What was it? Barber Beck? What they call that thing?
I don't remember, but I do know that they did play it. Well, I think South Park got sued, or she was furious about it. And then they brought it back for a later episode, more modern episode.
Yep.
But of course, Barbara Streisand, she does have a wonderful voice. I mean, she wouldn't be where she is without her voice of how amazing it is. And I'm guessing that she's a great stepmom. I mean, Josh Brolin seems like a pretty decent guy.
Her picture showed up when I was doing research. She was very attractive.
Yeah, she actually, yeah. Very much so, just like Dolly Parton too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're saying that like, please, like, do you really need to say that? Everybody knows that. And like one of the episodes, I believe it was the 1971 episode that we did with Lee, which I know some of you guys are missing him. Trust us, we miss him too. But it's the holidays, and he's got to make that bread for his family. So we wish him the best of luck within the 60 hours that he's working plus. But him and I did the year, I believe it was 1971, where the movie was 9 to 5, and that's where you get the 9 to 5 song is from that movie from Dolly Parton, and it is actually a really good movie. Did a whole Sell Me a Movie, and if you haven't seen it yet, you are disappointing me, just mainly because of the fact of and not you, Steven. I'm talking about everybody who's actually listening to this. I don't want to. I'm not acting like I'm calling you out, because everyone who's listening here is, my God, he's going to talk to his researcher like that. Like, what an ass. No,
you not watch movies, sir.
This is for everybody who's listening right now. If you haven't seen that movie, that means I just sold you Sell Me a Movie for nothing. I spent $5 to rent that for nothing. And it was a great movie. Everybody that I know who's seen it loves it. So, and we're actually off topic now. So yeah, Barbara Streisand, great voice. She was a beautiful woman back in the day. Still is now, obviously, can't say back in the day. But yeah, out of those movies, of course, Come and Get Your Love is the main one that sticks out in front of me.
Definitely.
All right. So this next one are the top toys. This is coming from thepeoplehistory.com. Number one are the Tonka truck or Tonka Toys construction trucks. And then number two is a Magic 8-Ball. Number three is a Spirograph. Number four is every kid and college student's favorite, Twister. The number five is the Crayola Craft Art Workshop Kit. I mean, I have basic memories of Twister from when I was a kid. I mean, it was a great game. It still is a great game even to this day. And Crayola Craft Art Workshop Kit, if I saw it, I would probably understand it or know what it is. Magic 8-Ball, I mean, everybody's had experience on Magic 8-Ball. I'm actually holding on to my grandfather's old Tonka truck toy, like a big metal one. Yeah, it's like huge, it's metal. Like, if somebody breaks into the house, then I'm going to use that as a weapon. Forget the baseball bat, forget the gun. It's literally going to be looking down the stairs like, hey, and just drop it, and it'll be done, because it's so heavy. And on top of that, it's not just a truck, but it's also like the back end of it, because it like connects into that. So you talk about like toys that could have been dangerous for kids. Like, just throw that truck in there with some lawn darts, and you got yourself like the most hazardous toys ever.
Lawn darts. I remember lawn darts. I admit I didn't remember lawn darts. They're gone.
Yeah. So throw those two toys out there, and there you go. You have a whole worldwide of, visits to the hospital without health issues, as my wife likes to say. I have a punch card because the issues I have. So yeah, obviously those are the toys. I don't know what a spirograph is.
So I might be wrong, but if I'm not, if I remember correctly, the spirograph was a put it in a block, and they had different pieces, and they were little gears, and they had little circles all over them. That, or I'm greatly describing a different toy. And you put your pencil in it, and you would trace it, and you got these really awesome designs. And I didn't have one, but my sister had one. Between everything on that list, I think my sister and I had them. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So you would have like the little circle, and then you would put different size circles, and you would just follow it around, and it would just make these awesome little designs. You could change the circle in and out. I don't think the 8-balls changed much over the decades.
No.
Still telling me to ask again. But but yeah, I mean, Tonka toys, I didn't have the shot put Tonka toy that you have, but I have the plastic one. The little plastic ones. Yeah, pretty much all of this is very familiar. The workshop kit, maybe not so much, but I mean, I assume it's probably some pastels, crowns, paints. It's a workshop kit.
Yeah, I mean, I did own some Tonka truck toys when I was a kid, and luckily it was plastic. That metal, of course, is coming from grandfather's age. I do remember, now that you are explaining it, the spirograph a little bit more.
Okay.
I do remember that. I never actually owned one. I think it got lost in between Christmas and me getting a light bright. I have no idea. But yeah, no, those toys, other than the workshop, just like you said, it did bring some memories into play. And that,
I think they're making all of these. I think they still make Tonka toys. I think pretty sure
Yeah,
they still
they
make
do.
8-ball. I'm
They
seeing
do.
here they still make Spirograph. They definitely still make Twister, and the Crayola is constantly evolving. So I assume that they have some sort of kit, some sort of workshop kit that they still do. That's all 5 of those are still, more than likely, all 5 of those are still being used today.
Let's see. So it's not actually called that anymore.
Okay.
It's like Crayola Colossal Tub, Creativity Tub. Create and Carry Case is another one. The one that obviously we're talking about it now, and when this video gets uploaded, you will have a little video or a little photo between us to actually show exactly what it is, which is something that a lot of our viewers on the podcast may not know or seeing, as we do put photos of the toys whenever we go over them. We do like pictures of the TV shows and movie posters. And if you are confused from the very beginning, I was wearing a Spider-Man mask, and the very first interaction that Steven had his eyes closed and they saw, because it was a surprise. So if you were confused about that, it's because I was wearing a Spider-Man mask. But
can you see out of that thing?
Yeah, actually I can.
Okay, I thought it was just the lights.
No, I it's very hard to see. Like, there has to be a lot of lights to actually illuminate the room for me to see clearly. Like in the middle of the night when we're coming home from the movie, I couldn't see crap, to put it lightly. I couldn't see crap. Like, my wife had to, because I did it just for jokes. And it was the first time I put on the lights in the middle of the night, and that was a horrible idea. Like, literally from the car to the actual sidewalk, I couldn't see nothing. Like, she had to grab my hand and say, okay, here's the step, watch out for that bug, like, here's the step, because all I saw in the helmet was blue.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting.
Okay.
And with that, my friend, you want to top us off with the top grossing movies?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so top grossing movies of 1974. I got this from thenumbers.com. Number one, we have Blazing Saddles at 119.5 million. Towering Inferno, very close behind at 116 million. The Trial of Billy Jack, 89 million. Another Mel Brooks film, Young Frankenstein, is 86.3 million. And Earthquake, 79.7 million. We do have our honorable mentions. I did not put what number they fell into, but we have The Godfather Part 2, the original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds, right?
Yep,
Burt
you're
Reynolds,
correct.
Longest Yard. And the 1974 version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep, which of course a lot of people don't know, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a low budget horror movie, and it almost got an NC-17 rating because back in the day it was very gruesome. I mean, even I haven't seen it. It's been on my to-do list to watch for the past 2 years, but I have not seen it any place where it's reasonably to be purchased. That's lower than 20, or I should say like $28. So it seems to me like, for example, Dogma, when Kevin Smith made Dogma, that's owned by Harvey Weinstein. The whole entire movie is owned by Harvey Weinstein. So he cannot make a second one without Harvey Weinstein, which will never happen now. And with that, before the whole Me Too movement and everything like that, before he got called out, which he rightfully should, even before that, he should not have done, no condoning at all. But he was actually talking to Kevin about making a second one. And then, of course, like a couple of weeks after that, that's when, that whole thing happened. So a Dogma 2 movie can never happen, or won't ever happen. And then the Dogma movie itself cannot be reproduced. So if you look up the Blu-ray for Dogma on like eBay or anything like that, you'll find it for $100.
Well, that stinks.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. So with that, I have the regular DVD. There was a store in Lakeland, Florida, that's in the Lakeland Mall. It's like Great America store or whatever. I actually found the VHS with the tape at the bottom, so it was never been used. It doesn't have the plastic around it. It just has that little tape that connects the tape to the box. So it's never been actually fully opened. And I'm saving on to both of those because, Dogma, I love Kevin Smith, and Dogma is a great movie. Unfortunately, it's owned by someone that should never own the rights to it. But yeah, like,
Yeah, how was that a thing? There was a lawsuit, right? There was a civil lawsuit. We're getting into some crazy stuff right now, but wasn't there a lawsuit? Like, would he have? Well, I mean, I assume he had the funds to pay, and I know that there was an insurance thing with the company, but I mean, I would assume. And then, did he die yet? I know he's having health issues, or he was.
No,
Maybe not.
Harvey Weinstein has not died yet.
So where does that? I mean, the IP goes somewhere, So
Maybe
somebody
his
inherits
brother.
that. Okay, who is not bad?
I don't know.
To be determined.
It's TBD. Especially with everything that's gone on right now. It's TBD. But as of right now, it's Harvey Weinstein owns all the rights to it. I mean, it's just like Mallrats that owns the whole rights to that is owned by Universal. Universal Studios owns all of that. It's just like Clerks, basically the same concept. The only thing that he really mostly owns is Jay and Silent Bob, which is why he was able to create the reboot movie. And because of that success is the reason why he's going back to Clerks 3 and able to do Clerks 3, which is why he tried to do a TV show spinoff on Hulu for the next Mallrats and stuff. So again, this is like another side direction that we have going here. But yeah, it's just like I was saying, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is similar to Dogma in a way where I've been looking for it on Blu-ray or 4K. I haven't found it on 4K yet, but Blu-ray is still like $30. And from my understanding, low budget, almost NC-17 because of how gruesome it was. Longest Yard, yeah, that's the original with Burt Reynolds. Of course, he actually makes a cameo in the new one. And then I believe, isn't Godfather Part 2 the one where Al Pacino actually dies? Or is that the third one?
It's been a while since I've seen The Godfathers. I've actually been trying to talk my wife into watching them with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I need to go back and watch them. They're fantastic. I didn't know that they were. I thought the first one was mid 70s. I didn't know part 2 was mid 70s as well, because it wasn't part 3 sometime in the 80s, right? Or am I way off?
I believe so. Because I know at some point they just stopped, and then they did another Godfather movie, which I'm not quite similar. So Godfather was 1972.
Yeah, wait for this gap.
Yeah, Godfather 72. Godfather Part 2 was 1974. Okay. Here's how I pause there is because Godfather. So Godfather 72, Part 2 74, Part 3 was 1990.
This is a George Lucas move right here. We won't touch it for 20 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because like I do remember like watching them for the first time years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a distinct difference in how they looked between once you got to the third one.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could tell by the cover. I mean, Pacino's not. That man's 20 years older.
Yeah.
But,
he doesn't have that Paul Rudd thing going for him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Blazing Saddles. I love Mel Brooks. First introduction to Mel Brooks that I had was Robin Hood Men in Tights. My mom introduced when I was like 5 years old, somewhere around there. And myself and my sister and my cousins, we would always try to replicate the dance in the Men in Tights. Like we would always try to backflip. Obviously, it would never work, but we would always recreate that because Mel Brooks has a funny way for like his humor wise. Like it's dirty, but it's passable dirty. Like for example, Young Frankenstein. He goes up to the doors and he clangs the door ringer, I guess. And they're door knockers, and he goes, "Oh, what great knockers." And then the lady who's supposed to be his quote unquote assistant was like, "Oh, well, thank you, doctor," as she's looking at her chest. So you have moments like that, or you have Gene Wilder, and the guy who's playing Frankenstein's monster is dancing on the stage as well. I forgot the song or the tune that they go to, but even then that's funny. Then you go to Spaceballs, and the one moment in Spaceballs that completely took me off guard was the "Hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my ragtime gal." And it was because it was at the end or close to the end where the alien from actual Aliens comes out of the guy's chest, and he just starts tap dancing. It was the most absurd thing ever. But the one movie that will never be made again, of course, is Blazing Saddles. And that's only because everything that's going in this world today, and cancel culture and stuff like that. And there's not going to get any to politicalness on the show, just only because of the fact that especially in today's society, you can only go so far without somebody finding something offensive and disagreeing, and like it just doesn't work anymore. And it's so sad because we used to live in a society where you can share your opinion and nobody would get upset. Now it's not like that anymore. The language that we used back in the day that we grew up is not language that is used today. But if you go back to how that language was said back in the day, then it can be deemed offensive.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, you cannot play history to match that anymore. To the
Right.
point where with movies, like the way the terminology was for Blazing Saddles or Django Unchained, like you cannot make a movie like that without getting some sort of hate, though that's exactly how they talked in the past.
Mhm. 100%.
And it's the same thing with I think Schindler's List. I don't think nowadays Schindler's List I don't think would be able to be created because of that same reason. And unfortunately, Schindler's List is very much a it's set as a masterpiece of a movie, but there are certain elements, certain tie-ins that I don't believe that they would be able to recreate, or if they did, they would get a lot of flack for it.
I'm a person where if you're going to show me a historic piece, and when I say historic, I don't mean documentary historic. I mean, if you're going to show me a time period piece, if you could make that as real as possible. So that's where I'm at. And it's unfortunate. I 100% agree with you. You're not going to see a lot of these types of movies that push those bounds. Like I'm, you know, I think we're pretty close to the same age, but I'm, nearly 35 years old. If I watch Chandler's List, I'm gonna cry. You know what I mean? There's like, and it breaks you down certain scenes, but it's not. It's confusing sometimes where people are like, oh, that shouldn't have been done, or no, it shouldn't have been done. But it's good to not let that die, not let that knowledge die that happened, not let Django that happened. Those were real things. May not be based on a real story, but those things actually happened. And to pretend that they never happened is kind of, I'm getting in a whole zone here. But but you know what I'm saying? Like if I love a real story, I love a true story. And if you can really give me the uh just the bones of it and feed it to me, like I'm sucked in. I'm sucked in. I actually just watched. There you go. There's a recent movie I rewatched was Django just last week actually. And I love that. I thought it was a great movie. Um, if you can't handle it, don't watch it.
And so, yeah, I know that's one thing that a lot of people may say too in like the comment section and stuff like that. Like, it's so easy for two white males. First off, my grandmother's Portuguese, so there you go. I have some, and that European esque to that. So I am foreign in a way. Okay, so watch it. I don't know your background, Steven, so I can't really say anything.
I
Um,
am Scottish, so I'm,
okay.
my great grandmother was Native American, but like half question mark.
Okay. So like I know a lot of people will say, it's a lot easier to say, well, it's two white dudes saying it, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And okay, that's understandable, but at the same time, like it's an opinion, not condoning anything,
Right.
because I'm happy that none of that is happening today.
Hmm.
Absolutely not. I want everybody to love one another. I want everybody to appreciate one another. I want everybody to, call other people on their crap when they're wrong. Like, facts are facts. Like, just stay true to the purest
Hmm.
that you can without spreading anything. And, that's how we learn. Um, but yeah, that we kind of got on a little tangent there. So to bring it back, that's why I believe Blazing Saddles can't be remade. Um, and it's a great movie. It is a funny movie, and it is on one of those movies to watch before you die. And it's only because Gene Wilder plays a great actor. His co-host was also very famous back in the day. Um, you know, that's I don't want to leave him out because he is, a key part of that. His name was Cleavon Little. who played Bart. And it was a very well done movie, and it's very a classic movie that's still being played on streaming as well. So with that, that's a whole bunch on Mel Brooks. I don't know Towering Inferno. To be honest, when I was looking research on our Sell Me a movie segment, I couldn't find Trial of Billy Jack anywhere. So that's kind of hard. Yeah. Like on Roku and stuff, like you can actually type in the movie or you can search the movies and it'll say like, Towering Inferno, you can rent it on Amazon, Netflix, blah, blah, blah. Earthquake, you can watch it on Amazon, Hulu, blah, blah, blah. And then Trial of Billy Jack, nothing. Like, oh, so this movie didn't exist. Great.
Banger.
It made 86.3 million, or I'm sorry, 89 million, but nowhere to be found. Yeah. Got it.
It's Chico and the Man all over again.
It must have been, I was going to say Eiffel 65 on Blue of the movies, but everybody still loves that song. So it's not like Billy Jack at all. But with that, of course, now we enter our segment of Sell Me a Movie. So you ready, Steven?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
And with that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be selling you a movie. A lot of you may not know, but what we do is we pick a movie from the top 5. We don't know who picks what. It is all through algorithm based, though we do not pick the same movie. So Steven and I aren't going to sell you guys the same movie at all. It will be a different movie. And what we have to do, and Steven, since he's new at this, he has free roam. But since he's no longer a veteran or a newbie in this, and he'll be considered a veteran, he can no longer be able to pick any movie he wants. So at this point forward, when Steven comes back on the show again, what we like to do is we like to pick a movie that we've never seen before. This provides the opportunity for you, the listener, or you, the viewer, to be able to see the movie that we're trying to sell you, look it up yourself, and understand how great of a movie it may be and why we think that it's a movie that you should watch, because it not only brings more movie elements, more entertainment to you, but it brings more entertainment and movie elements to us at home too. So like a movie that we don't think that we would ever watch before, like 9 to 5 back in 1971, or the one that I'm about to sell you right now, I never thought of watching, I never heard of, but when I watch it, it's good and it's great family bonding time with that. So with that in mind, Steven, I will have you go first, my friend.
Okay.
Ready. And I will count you down.
All right.
In 3, 2, 1.
All right. So for my Sell Me a Movie, I did, of course, Blazing Saddles. And that's kind of why I picked this year. So here's the deal. I know that, talking with people at work a lot, there's actually so many people that I know that haven't actually never seen this movie. And it blows my mind because it's fantastic. I've seen this movie so many times. It's my top notch. It's my favorite movie. Stars Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder, Slim Pickens, and Mel Brooks is also in it. He directed it, and he also co-wrote it with a few other people, one of them including Richard Pryor. All right. It was ranked number 6 on American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Laughs. It's got other awards in there, but they keep going. Anyway, it is a racy Western comedy that even Mel Brooks has stated, you could never make this movie today. It is, you're not making this movie in this easily offended atmosphere that you have today. So it's 1874, just past the Civil War. You got this group of black men, and then one thing leads to another, and he's the sheriff of a very racist Western town, and they are just blown away that why do we have a black sheriff? And they are bewildered by this, and then that's where the hilariousness ensues. He ends up saving the town through means and means, and just great Mel Brooks comedy here, and he ends up. I mean, I don't want to spoil the end, but there's a dance number, and it's going to throw you off guard. Either way, you should watch this movie because you're not going to see another movie like this again. I don't know where I'm at on time, but
You have a minute.
Another minute.
You have another minute.
Oh boy, I've already gone through it all.
That's okay.
So-
if you're good and finish it up, give it the last couple of seconds to sell it.
All right. Yeah, Dom DeLuise is also in it. I know he's an older 1970s comic, but either way, he just plays a small part. But it is a classic Mel Brooks movie. It is a very racy, very it's actually probably rated R today. I'm not sure, but it is it's definitely one that you're not going to watch with the younger kids, but you can watch it with your more mature, slightly older kids. But it's a fantastic movie that really brings you right to the line of what's acceptable, and to know that this was made in 1974 and some of them are
And
more
time.
offensive. Oh, now I messed up.
No, you didn't mess up. You didn't mess up. That's we may shorten it later on, but there you go. You had the last few seconds to go ahead and finish it up and really tie in and why people should watch it. And unfortunately, a lot of times with Justin and I will help sell each other movies, so we kind of have to stop doing that just because of the fact that there's no point to it at that time. So, but I will say that Blazing Saddles is a great movie, and it's something that you, no matter who you are, you should at least try to experience once. That's it. Just give it once. If you don't like it,
Absolutely.
then you at least can say that you tried to watch it, it wasn't for you, and nobody will. They'll be understanding. That's the whole point. All right, go ahead and count me down.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
All right. So again, this is a movie that I picked that I was able to find on Amazon for a low price of $4. You can actually rent the movie Earthquake. Earthquake is directed by Mark Robson. During the research and stuff like that, I couldn't find. If you know the 70s movies, he was a famous director during that time period. You will know this actor, though. It does star Charlton Heston, who was the main actor in Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments, and Planet of the Apes. And I'm talking about the original Ben-Hur and original Planet of the Apes. You have Ava Gardner and then George Kennedy. You may know George Kennedy. He actually played Ed Hockin in Naked Gun and Naked Gun 2.5. The movie itself starts off slow, and there's different stories within it. Okay, so I shouldn't say two different stories, as more of there's a lot going on with the main character. You first get introduced to Charlton Heston's character, and his wife. He is a businessman who basically who owns a business with his father-in-law. And throughout this whole entire movie, there are moments in there where it is the earthquakes happen. It's very San Andreas themed, but more of 1974 basis. It does a slow burn in the beginning, but it does pick up at the end. And then it also has its great, action-packed 1970s version. One specific scene in the movie that's actually I had to rewind and watch over again was an elevator sequence where people were falling while in the elevator, and it was very much a 1970s take on what would happen if people did that. And it was interesting to see the type of animation, or really not really animation, but special effects that they had back then, as well as it is a very classic movie. I mean, it wouldn't have made 79.7 million if it wasn't a classic movie, unless if you're talking about Trial of Billy Jack, then you just can't find that movie anywhere apparently. So I would honestly say, Earthquake, you can watch it with your kids, absolutely. Unlike Blazing Saddles. Was that a shot? Yes, it was. So you can watch Earthquake if you want. You can watch it with the kids, absolutely. And it also gives them the opportunity to know who Charlton Heston is, and then you can show Planet of the Apes. You can show and provide them with a little bit of history of cinematic gold. And I am calling it quits with 3 seconds left.
All right, I'll take those 3 seconds, sir, and say the Blazing Saddles, from a budget of 2.6 million, did box office 119.6 million. Earthquake, sir, 7 million budget.
I mean, okay, fair. If you're talking about budgets, and yes, that's fair. I shot at you, you shot at me. It's all fun and games. So with that, of course, that actually brings us to the end of our show. Again, would like to thank all of you for listening, all of you who are watching right now. If it looks like, I'm not paying attention to the screen, that's because, notes, right? Have to make sure that we provide the most accurate information without having to be like, oh, what's this information? I don't know. Let's look it up, and then look at it up while you guys are here. Obviously, there's some in that, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we provide you with the most accurate information, most suitable information as well. And we want to make sure that if we sell you a movie, you guys are not wasting your time. Though some of you may feel like that, thinking that, oh, well, that Todd guy, he doesn't know movies, blah, blah, blah. Well, it may not be for you. You may enjoy Steven's movie. Just never know. Just give us a chance, give the movie a chance. But again, let us know who you thought sold the movie the best between the two of us. Was it Steven? Was it me? What random year do you want us to actually go over, as we will pick the number one top box office of the top 5, and of course tell me the movie and everything like that of the year that you choose. Also, if you are an independent movie producer, director, writer, give us a shout out, let us know. We would love to have you on the show. If not me interviewing you, then there may be 2 or 3 of us, like, just asking questions, because we want to know your work. We want to know your artistic abilities. And if you are a painter, if you're anybody in the arts, we want to talk to you, because this is the whole thing about this podcast. This is the whole thing about the show, is making sure that, the people, the elites out in Hollywood, big people out in Hollywood, that's who they are. They are the big people. But we want to make sure that we bring light to all of us. Not just the rich, not just the people in Hollywood, but all of us here, other than those who may get overlooked. So if you are an artist, music, painter, director, it doesn't matter. We want you on the show. We want to talk to you, because we want to make sure that we support you. And with that in mind, again, brings us to the end. Stephen, I can't thank you enough for actually coming on the show with us today. And before we actually close out, go ahead and let people know, if you want them to follow you, where they can find you.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I had a blast. Thank you so much for having me. Fantastic. So yeah, I do have my Twitch stream, my YouTube channel. That's at SUPADAWSON Super Dawson. So twitch.tv/Super Dawson, or YouTube Super Dawson. I'm on there every so often. I post new videos, mostly gaming, but eventually I would like to start up something else, possibly with you, Todd, and see what goes from there.
Awesome. And again, can't thank you guys enough. We love you all. Make sure you follow us on all social platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Hit that like, subscribe button. Follow us on the podcast, such as, of course, Stitcher, Google, Apple, Buzzsprout, all of those. And with that, we salute you and have a good night.